What's happening, y'all? Another day, another you, another me. Recon comes in with the big questions. Rappel with the raid. Why am I Uranus and Zeus? Don't ask questions. I'm just one man. I don't make the news. I don't do it. We got Grass, we got Kiber today. They're currently in the middle of drafting, making my life hard by changing everything on me. So let me fix that up quickly. God. I am a little bit tired today. Oh, fuck yeah. We got ourselves the Mount Olympus in the maps for today. Last week, Grass vs. Kiber was actually quite a close series. Grass did end up winning 4-1, but it was definitely close. Kiber's looking strong. Did I say 3-1? 4-1? 3-1? It's all the same thing. Yeah, so this is the last chance for the playoffs, for the ticket. There's one ticket remaining. You either win or you lose at this stage. There's no extra chances. So win or go home. Oh, I have, for some reason, playoff 4 finals sticking up there. Let me fix that. 1 second. Let's call this last chance. That might be cool. Playoff last chance. Why playoff 5 when you can go with playoff last chance? Look at that. Look at how cool. Nah, we're going to playoff 5. I prefer that. Mom's spaghetti. Man. How's everyone doing? What's been happening? Kroopy, Irene, Raphael. What time is Australia? It is currently 2 a.m. So yeah, we're going to be doing this game and then popping off. So it's going to be a short stream. It's going to be a short stream. $24-hour stream. Nah. Tomorrow, I think we have some games from memory. Let me look at the quick schedule. Nope. There's no games in there just yet. We're still waiting on Matrius and Eric and Killuminati and Mini Yeti to finish their games and schedule those, but hello, Rappel. How's it going, man? I warned you not to pick Egyptian. I warned you. But you picked it. I told you. I'm trying to help you guys out at the top level. That's all. I mean you guys the best. That's all. I don't have an agenda. I'm just telling it as it is. Okay. Is there anywhere I can look up past Gameathlon games? There is a playlist on my YouTube channel. There is plenty of games in there. Let me see if I can find that link. So you guys can there it is. How do I share? Share. Doesn't want me to share it. Struggle. If I get rid of this edit thing, no, that's not going to work. That'll take me in the wrong place. Videos. Really? Why? Why can't I share it? Edit in YouTube. What if I click? What if I click here? Okay. I don't see this playlist anywhere. Wait, what if I go to YouTube, my actual channel? We are a professional stream at the moment. We did go live just a little bit earlier than I probably should have. But I did think that they would already be done. Oh, do I have it? I think so. I think this here is the start. Smack. Also, thanks for the primes and all the other good stuff. I do have some good news for the weekend, for the finals this weekend. We are going to be, it's good and bad news. It's good and bad news. It's good news because we're going to have more eyes on the stream. It's bad news because I cannot stream. Oops, hold on. I cannot stream on YouTube on Sunday. But what I will do is upload immediately after the entirety of the thing. What is happening here? Why can't this work? What is happening? Update. Hey. Yeah, so we're on the front page of Twitch for Sunday, which should be exciting. So if you do want to watch it live, well, obviously tune in on Twitch. I think what we'll do is we'll run a little bit of a thingamajiggy. No front page for Athens, no. I thought it would be a better idea to almost do the front page first and just be like, guys, come and watch the thing. Do you know what I mean? If you're enjoying, I don't know. But maybe I made a critical error where that's concerned. Anyways, let's jump over to the drafting head-to-head. We can talk a little bit about that before we jump into the actual draft, because they are finished drafting, ready to go. So yeah, here we have the Gimmity game. Oop. Oh no. Oh dear. Did they? They didn't. Please tell me they didn't. They absolutely did, didn't they? I'm about to get real upset. Let's just breathe. We're just gonna breathe through it. Oh, nope, they restarted. Oh my god, they restarted. Good luck, guys. All right. So we've got Grass, we've got Kiber. Someone was asking something about something I can't exactly understand. So this week is the final chance to get to Athens. Athens is the 11th, 12th, 13th of September, the grand finals of the entirety of the Gameathlon Athens LAN is on the Sunday. And I believe, I don't have an exact time for it just yet. We'll announce that later, but I do believe it's going to be later on in the day. Probably around about, maybe a little bit earlier than this, but yeah. The Mister will be there. He is so there. So right now we have 7 players who are qualified, 7 players who we'll see at the tournament, and all the other good stuff. And then we just need the one more. So there are currently, well, there are currently 16 players left to have a shot. Yeah, these two did play. So funnily enough, what ended up happening was Grass fell to seed 2 and Soup rose to seed 1. And then on the flip side, Kiber rose to seed 15 and Vega dropped to seed 16. So we got a rematch with that. Kavov should be in Athens. He is qualified. Oh, I need to do this. We got a Gaia versus Thor for our first game on the map Giza. Oh, I don't have the draft up. Let's check out the draft, guys. Off we go. Dome, 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 dome. Oh, okay. So here's the draft. I feel like I've said it a billion times, but I know that everyone's not going to be like paying attention every single time that I say it. So I'll say it. The way that this tournament worked is that 3 players who have already won an S tier tournament, that's the Mister, that's Kavoth, that's the Rapple, they all auto qualified. So they did not participate in this specific Road to Athens series. They will be in Athens already. They are literally, their Road to Athens starts in Athens. So they don't need to go on a Road to Athens. They did the Athens already, right? Then Recon won the first one. So his road was over. He's in Athens. Then Tunison won the next one. Then Moscow won the next one. And then Magic won the next one. And if you were counting, like me, that there would be 3 plus 4. And some quick math would say that 3 plus 4 equals 8. No, it equals 7. We need one more, which is what this week is for. So it's the very last week of this specific qualifying series. Have I ever tried to qualify? I did play in one S tier tournament, the one that I wasn't super involved in on the scheduling side or the back end. I participated in that in Mythic Wars. It was fun. I'll never do it again. I'd do it again if there was a reason, maybe in a different game, but I don't know. I'm retired. 3 plus 4 equals 34. Yeah. Okay. So without going into it too much, one of the big interesting things that changed in this series from today, from last week, because this is a rematch, is that Grass took Kiber's Frere away from him. But in doing that, he also lost some Norse gods that he likes. So Kiber banned out Loki, and I actually like the Kiber, the way that Kiber went about this. I like this because he goes, we'll take out Loki, and then if Grass picks Norse, then I'll pick Norse, right? And I'll get 2 for his 1. So when there's a high priority for both of these players, that ends up being that sort of a shenanigans. Following that, the Gaia set pick from Grass, set probably sitting there to try and snipe the Odin or Thor. Pretty risky pick, to be honest. I don't think it's super good into the Kiber pool here, unless he can snipe the Norse gods. Then we have a Zeus Noir. I like the Zeus pick for pretty much any of these maps. Noir is also going to be fantastic on that Mount Olympus. Grass grabs Fushi and Isis. Good to see Grass branching out into some Chinese gods at the moment. It's been one of the things I think that has been lacking in his drafts throughout this tournament, is simply just saying no to the Chinese. I think if you can get one Chinese under your belt, then it really opens up your draft to be very, very difficult to play into. That being said, the countdown has finished. It is time to jump into game number 1 here. Grass, Kiber, last chance playoffs. Let's get into Giza. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the final chance. This is what I'm going to aptly title. It says playoff 5 just over there. If you just have a read, it's just there. It says playoff 5, but I'm going to call this the last chance playoff. There's one spot remaining. Lose, and you're out. There's no more chances. Lose and you're out right now. It's a must-win situation. The pressure is incredibly high. Introducing the players for the round of 16, first match here. This is Grass playing as Gaia. And in the right side of the map, we've got Kiber playing as Thor. So, Kiber, the Norse specialist, he unfortunately had to play Grass last week. He did get a win versus Grass last week. I think it was 3-1, that series. And he went actually up in the seedings because of that. But unfortunately, Grass, who was first seed last week, he actually dropped a little bit last week after, I believe, losing to Matrius. And he actually became the second seed. So while Kiber went up the seedings, Grass went down the seedings. And, well, you see a rematch here. But there are a lot of differences here. I don't think we saw Kiber with Thor last week. Or if we did, we didn't see this matchup. So we get a very, very different type of game. And there's a huge relic on the top here, which has been scouted by Kiber. He's going to be wanting to grab that as fast as possible. If I was Kiber here, I would even consider delaying my classical age in order to get the Hersir out as fast as I possibly could. For example, building a dwarf here instead of the gather, doesn't really matter, but getting himself that Hersir immediately, and he is going to be doing that, and then going 4-SETI, and all of a sudden his infantry units are going to be flying around the map. Really, really cool idea. This is going to be a great, great game for Kiber. Relic over here, however, is a perfect counter to that inside of the Eye of Ornlu, which will be making Parabalisters a lot more effective, even though they're already incredibly effective versus infantry. We've got the Osberg Wagon over here, which is caravan movement speed plus 10%. Over onto this side, we've also got the Archimedes' Ledger, making siege and kinemets and population -1. So just siege in this game. And, well, we are off to the races. It's going to be a slow start for Kiber. The only weakness here for him early on is the fact that his gold mine is incredibly out in the open. And there will need to be some early game fighting here for Kiber to defend this, or he's going to have to drop a dwarven mine at the back of his base. On the flip side, we're already seeing Oceanus in. Grass has already got himself hand axe and shaft mine. It's a pretty fast advance time. We're not seeing him go for any sort of fast second talent center. I believe he is going to want to be aggressive in this game. And, well, we'll see. Because Galadriel are out, and if I had to guess, I would say 2 military barracks. Grass is a man of habits. He has his strategies, and he says, this is really strong. Let me go straight into my Murmillos. Now, the only issue with this is a really simple way to shoo away the early game is to just go straight into throwing Axeman Hersir. Hersir to deal with the Carnivora, throwing Axeman to just keep the Murmillo at bay. But then, of course, will come in Carabalister and Terma a little bit later. Meanwhile, over onto this side, a little bit of walls coming up as the Caladria does come through for Grass, and he sees the gold mine. It's already been mined to 1,700 gold. One of the weaknesses of playing 4 is that your gold mines expire much faster, much faster than everyone else's gold mines because you're building dwarves. And you also actually gather from them faster to boot with the 0.98 gold per second. I believe the dwarf is the fastest gold gather rate per population. Is it faster than the Quafu? I think so. Quafu is 3, and I think it's only at 2.5 or something. This is close to 3. So is there a hand axe? No, there's no pickaxe at all. And in comes the units. And we're actually going to be seeing Berserks right away here. Berserks right away. Now going to be having some walls coming up for Kiber. He's just going to be sitting back, playing repair shenanigans as the Hersir come through, and they're going to be enjoying just a little bit of favor, free favor. And can he take that out? Answer no. Remember, there is going to also be a healing spring here, so there's no problems with an early game fight. as long as you don't lose any units. But still, no healing spring. Now it comes down for Kiber, and he's going to be able to continue these fights. Still surprised not to see any throw an axeman, but straight into Murmillos and try and make this work could be interesting. As in comes the units yet again, still working away at getting that favor as the fighting will continue. This troll has got a very interesting proposition of where it's standing. As back to the town center it goes. Carnivora will end up getting taken out here as the Berserk comes around onto the backside. That's going to be attempting to get that up, and that's going to be a bit of an issue for Grass as he's still charging forward. One dwarf does end up going down. You have to remember, though, that Kiber does have a eco advantage in playing Thor with that Dwarven Armory. Does he have enough stuff here? As the Murmillo continuing to fight. Dwarves getting pulled back, keeping them alive at very low HP. Another Berserk going down. Low HP Murmillos just staying alive as the Murmillo hero dives in underneath the town center. It leaves with nearly no HP, but it's still good to go here. As up to the top, the Murmillo hero does end up going down, and I think that Kiber gets out of this in one piece. What a defense from Kiber. I mean, villager differential is still probably, I'd say, in Kyber's advantage, and Kiber now going up for copper weapons. On the flip side here, Grass, well, he's been gathering non-stop. He does have some idle citizens that need to get to work. He's going to throw down another military barracks as Kiber is getting into his wall game up onto the top. You also have to remember that while that was all going on, and it's still going on right now, Kiber's happily gathering secondary hunt, which, as you can see, it's very, very tough to hold a position. It's very, very tough to hold a position. Now, in comes the Murmillos yet again, and a big problem for Kiber is the fact that, well, he doesn't have the infrastructure just yet. And there will be another Carnivora coming online in about 1 minute here as the wall gets broken down. Dwarves pulling back. Remember, there still is this Dwarven mine here, so he can play a little bit of waiting games. One little known fact here. If you take out the wooden wall explodes and does half damage to everything connected to it. Take a look at this wall. It's got 600 HP, so it would do 300 damage to this wall. So it is well worth it to actually target down the wall segments if they're open. And you'll see that happen right here, down to 300 HP, or less than 300 HP, and the wall will die. I'm not sure of what type of damage it does when it blows up, but I'm not sure exactly how it works. I don't think it's actual damage. I think it just cuts the wall in half. But for now, Kiber is up to the top side of the map. Still has to get his walls in here. They're not quite finished. Lots and lots of Berserks, and while they are incredibly fast at 5.3 speed here, he needs raiding cavalry to deal with the Caraballister. We've seen time and time again how powerful Caraballister can be against pure infantry. As up onto the top, Berserks charging around here, searching for villagers to kill off. If there's anything out there, we will have to wait and see. Meanwhile, Kiber kind of not paying attention here. He does retreat, but cutting it very, very close as this Berserk over here is going to go down. Meanwhile, in onto this position, a bit of a blind attack from Kiber, but one citizen, potential kills to come through. Any bit of damage while this is all going on is obviously very, very good for Kiber in this position. He's getting himself his gold. He's got his Thrown Axeman in. Caraballister is slow. Mana will end up going down, and the citizen will attempt to make a run for it, but surely Kiber will say, no You will not get out of here as the Berserks going after the Mamilla actually allow the Citizen some attempt at a lot at living there, but not going to be happening. Meanwhile, into the main base as the wall, well, that's not finished up. The Dwarves over here are going to get pushed back. Lots and lots of resources in the bank for Kiber at the moment. Not paying attention to his Dwarves at the moment as the Murmillos charge in, and he does pull back finally. Loses one Murmillo for it, but picks two Dwarves off. That's always going to be value as the Berserks over here do get pushed back. But again, they're 5.3 speed, so he should be able to get out of here. No problems. And then look to collapse in onto this army. What Grass needs now, arguably, is either a heroic age for Stymphalian Bird or a heck of a lot more Caraballister. Because if he gets caught out, I'm pretty sure 2 Caraballister are not going to be enough. Look, Hell's Ravage is being a bit of a smart aleck in the chat. It is blind because you need to scout where your opponent is actually gathering gold from. As you can see, there's random villages up onto this side. There's villages over here, right? You don't know where to raid, and he has to take a guess as to where his opponent is gathering resources from. You watch yourself. As now the Berserks will continue their raiding ways over onto this side. Murmillo's becoming active, preventing this wall from coming up. And behind this, though, we are seeing the Skadi and Aria actually coming in from Grass. As Kiber is, honestly, he is looking incredibly clean with it at the moment. Grass, on the flip side, I think that early attack, I think he was expecting to get just a little bit more damage done from that. Instead, he is literally one Citizen in front here. As Berserk's turn, look to take this fight. Not a great fight for them as the Caraballister comes in. But with Skadi coming in, I think Kiber is going to be relatively safe. The only issue is he's now starting to float a lot of resources. As in comes the Murmillos. Good control from Kiber here as he's going to pull back his units. Lots and lots of picks there as the palace does come up onto this side. Troll gets stolen in. Does that use its special and just sort of miss everything? I don't even know. But nonetheless, over onto this side, a little cheeky Rhino getting stolen or eaten sneakily. Palace on the front will mean potential destroyers, but destroyers aren't really your best bet in these sorts of situations. As the Murmillo Troll Caraballister army pulls back ever so slightly. And we will see the Contarius now coming through for Grass. Up to the top, Longhouse for Kiber. Murmillo Hero is on the way as Grass is anticipating a little bit of Myth Unit shenanigans. But with all the fighting that's happened, Kiber's just taking the Dwarven Mine approach. And look at this iron armor on the way for Kiber. Does take 33 seconds to research, which in the grand scheme of things isn't that much. But iron armor at this point in the game is kind of insane. As the dwarves get knocked back, Thrown Axeman coming forward, raiding cavalry on top of the Caraballister there as the Frost will get dropped down. Some sort of a wall here, but there's a behemoth. Might be a little bit too much to deal with. Not sure I like this Frost. I thought that Kiber had the initiative there, but I guess he just wanted to take out the palace. And take out the palace he will, as a hill fort will get dropped onto the back line. And with the palace falling, this is going to be even worse for Grass. Grass is going to be losing this entire army here. Contarius, however, will be coming in. Behemoth can get frozen up by the Frost Giant. As in comes the Carnivora here, which will tank up a lot of damage. The Kyber is still alive onto the backline. Does Kiber have what it takes here to win this fight? The military differential just completely fell off the deep end there for Kiber, as he's got next to nothing remaining in terms of his military. The hill fort's going to get denied, and that there, in one foul swoop, Grass manages to get the win in a situation that looked rather good for Kiber. And I think, and I could be wrong here, but I think this entire situation was because of that frost. Not only that, the throwing axeman basically being in melee. You never want to be in melee range with throwing axeman against Murmillos. Funnily enough, you'd be like, oh, throw an axeman counter. Right? Throwing axemen are going to be able to counter Murmillos, and they do. You can have a look at it. It's 4.8 hack damage per second times 4, so it's going to be upwards of, can I do some math? 20 damage a second-ish, almost. But the Murmillos, they've got such high hack armor, and they do a pretty decent amount of hack damage as well, that they're actually kind of able to be okay if they've got numbers. And then on top of that, if you're also mixing in things like Contarius, Carnivora, and the Thrown Axe aren't even hitting Murmillos, then all of a sudden you get into a lot of trouble. And trouble was what Kiber was in there. Well, first game goes to the guy. Let's jump back over to the drafting menu and see what game 2 is going to bring us. Alrighty, I think our next map is on Ghost Lake, but let me just double check. It is on Ghost Lake. And we're going to have a Fushi versus Amaterasu game. Hope you guys are enjoying the tournament and enjoying all the games and all the action. If for whatever reason you were thinking about picking up Age of Mythology Retold and giving it a go at this point, there's probably never been a better time to play the game. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 7 different pantheons, seven different factions. Inside of each of the factions, there's at least 3 gods. It's easily the best RTS game going at the moment on a variety basis. Competitively, I think that Age of Mythology players kick way above their weight. We often have a lot of high-level Age of Mythology players, mid-level Age of Mythology players moving to other games and continuing that level. So it's definitely a transferable skill and all the other good stuff. So yeah, I mean, if you think you should pick it up, maybe you should go and try and pick it up. It's probably a good idea. While I'm yapping, I'm forgetting to give Grass his much deserved win. On top of that, if you guys are also wondering what the schedule is looking like for this week, we do have some games on Thursday and on Fridays scheduled for the moment. There's nothing just yet on Wednesday, but there might be. Maybe. Not sure. Anyways. Do I do coaching? I do coaching. If you join my Discord, I have coaching information there if you want to have a read of it. I am not going to advertise that right now. Alrighty. It is time for game number 2, which is Fushi and Amaterasu. I am currently waiting for the other players for something that might be going wrong. Not sure what's happening. Did I miss something? Or oh, there we go. All right. Let's jump into game number 2. It is on Ghost Lake, and it's going to be, we're going a little bit to Asia here, guys. Off we go. Alrighty, and off we go. Right hand side of the map, Kiber playing as Amaterasu, and grass is on the Fushi. So we are on a Ghost Lake map. It is a 1 gold mine Ghost Lake. I'm going to give you my 2 cents about this matchup from the side of the Japanese, because that's a little bit more simple. I've been seeing a lot of people attempting to play this matchup and having a lot of trouble. Now, it doesn't really have the same risks playing against Fushi as it does playing against, say, Noir or Shinong, because Fey Beast isn't on the table, on the cards. There's no Fey Beast, which basically means you don't have to worry about your Archer Ball getting blown up. But here's the fact of the matter. This matchup, I don't see the point in building archers. And that is very, very fine. There are going to be some matchups where building archers is a good thing, some aren't. Maybe later in the game, you can go into Yumi Horse Archers. That could be fine. Maybe later into the game, you could go into Yumi Archers. But in the Classical Age, if this ends up being an aggressive game, which I know that Grass likes, and especially when you're playing against someone who's probably not super comfortable on the Chinese, you got to imagine they're going to do something aggressive. If he's going to be going for an aggressive play, it's probably going to be to counter whatever units you're building, and that tends to be Halberdier and Fire Archer, of which you can find a lot of advantage playing with Naginata Rider as well as Samurai. Now, on top of this, it doesn't really matter which minor god you go through here. However, if you do decide to go for the Amano Uzume route, you got to make sure you have your shrines down. You got to make sure that you don't throw away your weasels super carelessly. And then at the very least, they're getting in and getting some damage before they start dying. And then, of course, if you go Minakata Tomi, you have to enjoy that saltwater spring tech because, well, the food-based army is incredibly expensive. So one thing that I've noticed when I play this matchup is that my wood does start floating, and that's mostly just because I'm not spending it. But I also need my wood to continue to increase so that I can continue to keep putting my infrastructure down. So what is a nice, easy way to make it all work is by putting Shrine of the Hunt down onto your actual shrine close to your wood chopping operation so that you can go ahead and grab those villages and just take them off of wood, put them back onto wood whenever you need extra resources for more infrastructure. Meanwhile, Kiber still not advanced. On the other side, we do see Grass already in the second age. He's going to be dropping his Imperial Academy. We also see the military camp coming down, and in comes the texts of Imhotep here. He does have a couple of pioneers just scouting around. It is just the one relic for him at the moment. There is also the Trojan Gate hinge. And on the flip side, we've got Kiber picking up Bow of Artemis and the Titan's Treasure as, well, the Yatza over here causing just a little bit of issues. And it's such a late advance from Kiber, and a lot of this is because he's built an extra Miko, which, to be honest, there's nothing wrong with this. It's just makes life just that little bit harder early on, as the Miko will start to slap and the Yatza will start to Yats, getting out of there. And up to the second age he goes, as a stable will get dropped down, and I have to imagine, well, it's 2 stables, nothing wrong with opening up with Cav. Cavalry have been, will be, and will forever be incredibly powerful in RTS games because they've got the mobility to stay away from danger while also putting themselves into opportunities where they can create danger for their opponents. But nonetheless, off to the races, Kiber goes. The only issue here is that he's got Halberdier inside of his main base, And there is a Yatsa just causing a ton of issues. No Shrine of the Hunt dropped onto this side, which probably would have been the better place, defending the gold mine and everything else, but he's chucked it up to the top. Defends his wood line and a little bit of gold protection. Maybe a wall getting thrown up onto this position here wouldn't go astray, just to prevent the units from getting in onto this spot. But more importantly, if your opponent is attacking you, it means they don't have a whole bunch of stuff at home. Just send your cav to go attack them. Horse does equal good, but also samurai equals good too. Samurai equals gooder. If horse is good, then samurai is gooder. That is the that's the takeaway from today's lesson. That's the halberdier. One does end up getting taken down. Great control from Kiber to make this defense function, as the control from Grass also on point. Sort of got his pioneers out of position there just a little bit, but then sped walked them back. As you ask me, what is speed walking? To which I say speed walking is the act of getting your units into formation faster. And the way you do that is by separating your pioneers out onto the front, halberdiers at the back, or main army over here, and then you simply box click them all, and then you click the units to run together. Unless, now in comes the Kiber Samurai, and the most important thing here, I think, for Grass is to be well aware that he doesn't want to stay in the classical age. So he's applied a lot of pressure. Well done. He's kept his opponent in his base. He's caused damage without fighting, which is the main thing. 2,000 Bushido remaining, right? But I gotta say, you don't want to tango with an Amaterasu for a prolonged period of time in the classical age, if you can help it. So a nice quick heroic age, potentially grabbing the Peach Blossom Spring right now, wouldn't be a terrible idea, as in comes the Naginata Rider and the Kitsune, making the move at 6.3 speed, as Grass will pull back. Keeps all of his guys alive for the time being, not able to pick any of them off. And up onto the top, there are these villages here, but... Wait, did he not see it? He did see it, but he decides to go elsewhere here, as motoring in onto this position will take the small lead, or the small gains, by taking out a Pioneer. And then he continues on his happy ways up to the top side, as the Kitsune almost gets taken out, down to that 1 HP. 1 HP! And Kiber will pull back into his main base. We do already have 3 Hot Wheels in for Kiber. So the threat here is, and will always be, for Kiber to just simply walk across the map and try and kill Grass. But the problem with that is that you grab watchtowers, you go heroic age, and you use lightning weapons to stun up the one Udor, while everything else is perfectly happily killing off whatever you need. But for the moment, Grass just floating a little bit of gold, not the end of the world. Looking for raids down onto the bottom side of the map, but realistically, I don't think Kiber wants to leave his base here. Not now, not ever, and we will see Gormang on the way. Idea being to get himself into Yumi, not Yumi Horse Archers, White Horse Cavalry. And as the White Horse Cavalry come in, it's important to get those Yati Spearmen through for Kiber if he can make that read. He doesn't have to leave the classical age, which is kind of the big nicety, and he doesn't have to worry about those Fey Beasts, which is again another nicety. As the Naginata Riders coming through, and Kiber does spot the Kwafu train. This could be a huge amount of damage here. I know if Soup was here, he'd just turn around and start throwing his own balls of damage at the Naginata Riders. Is he going to get one? He does pick one off before pulling back. And now, well, Grass is simply just going to continue his way over onto the left. So one Kwafu kill for Kiber. That's got to feel good. Massive amount of units in as well. So he's got the initiative here to move across the map, force a fight. and at the very least force a defensive forest protection. There's not really any necessity to go full ham here, but force a defensive forest protection or something like that has to be the right way to go, as Grass not paying attention at all there, drops 2 halberdiers before pulling back, but his ballet is going to finish up over onto this side. No problems for the moment, but is there about to be problems is the big question. As the Naginata Riders, they make their way in. We do have the Tao Wu trying to get involved as it speeds forward there. Samurai coming around onto the bottom side. Looking to potentially sniper Kuafu or something here. There's so much population advantage for Kiber, but again, the advantage of having this heroic age is, simply put, that the forest protection is here to protect. But Kiber doesn't even attempt to force it, and he's actually going to decide to do something very, very clever. I love this decision from Kiber. Why attack where your opponent is when you can attack where they're not and get similar amounts of damage? Yes, you don't get the gold star, which would be a game-winning play, but you get guaranteed damage here. Samurai come in, military camp goes down, Infernal 1 Udor will be cleaning things up so quickly up to the top side of the map. Naginata Riders just checking things out there as more and more units to come through for Kiber. The only thing I'm not liking from Kiber is that he's not building himself the all-important Yati Spearman at the moment. Meanwhile, down onto the bottom, and this is part of the issue, White Horse Cav are coming in. And yes, the Naginata Riders do trade okay versus them, but if you just compare stats to stats, they're both basically affected by medium here. 13 hack damage, 9.9, 154, 171. So of course the units there would win. The White Horse Cavalry would win here, as the 1 Udor, they're getting caught out. There is an opportunity to drop whatever he wants here in terms of solar shields, but this was not the plan. You don't want to get stuck on top of this forest protection, but maybe there's enough stuff here for Kiber, as Grass's Fire Archer numbers do not look good at all. And look at that Bushido skyrocketing. He picks off all the 1 Udor, as back in come the White Horse Cavalry. Kiber here, he can continue to take this fight. It's looking like those halberdier don't do anything to the Samurai at the moment. And surely Grass realizes he's got to get himself some fire archers, but he's got no villagers on wood. Is this one of the rare times you would grab the wood from the Peach Blossom Spring just so he can get some answers out for the heavy samurai that are about to make his life a living hell? Let's decide here to move his villagers off of food. And behind this now, Raijin to come through. White Horse Cav, however, the raids, well, they are continuing. And what Grass, without a question in my mind, needs here is time. And raids give you so much in the way of time, as this wall will get knocked down immediately. Main base under threat. Nothing in here. And again, still not a guardhouse. And while I'm pretty adamant that Yumi Archers are not the right way, the Yati Spearmen are everything versus something like this, as the army for Kiber coming in onto this position is presenting some real issues for Grass as he turns with his Kuafu for the moment. Ballet on the back, looking like it's slowly going to be going down up onto this side. The Samurai still causing some issues there. Fire Archer numbers are just so obscenely low from Grass. He has 7 Fire Archers versus 22 Samurai. And to put it into perspective, that's kind of like having 7 Fire Archers to deal with 44 hoplites. You're not going to be able to deal with it. It's a lot. That's a lot of damage. It's a lot of samurai. It's a lot of problems. But all that being said, Grass is still alive and he still has his Peach Blossom Spring. So one really brutal thing that he can do right now if he wants to take the ultimate risk in power greeting is one, make sure you're raiding. Make sure you're keeping your opponent on their toes and having to deal with the raids. And two, jump onto the Peach Blossom Spring and just get your resources in for the Mythic Age. Because there's one thing here that would be incredibly difficult for Kiber to deal with, and that would be Ying Long, the dragon. As villagers come up onto this side, a little bit of defense as the samurai will attempt to prevent the retreat, but they are incredibly slow. Not going to be able to do so. Over onto this side, though, Kiber says, time to attack. He still doesn't have the rage in here. He might still be in the classical age with champion upgrades at some point. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised as the one Yudo, well, they're trying to take out the back line. I feel like they could just take out the front line here. It wouldn't even be an issue. Up onto the backside there, the Naginata Riders coming through as those Infernal One Yudo don't even want to participate in the fight. He's that confident. He does drop down a Solar Shield there, causing even more problems for Grass as Grass is in a desperate attempt to pull everything back and get everything together here. But Kiber is looking so strong with so much stuff. Machine Workshop will go down. Kawafu getting pulled back, turning with the Kawafu, but still, look at the samurai. They are dominating here. Onto the backside, he's going to try and take out the one Yudo, but in the end of the day, he's going to lose his ballet and then lose everything else afterwards. There is no keeping that alive. Of course, Grass can move up to the top side. He's still got 47 villages. He's onto the Peach Blossom Spring for the time being, but he is gathering food from it. Now turns it to gold as this position will get cleaned up. And in this main base, well, Grass simply has nothing. What can he do? He needs a full population army to continue in this game. Farms coming up. One Machine Workshop is obviously not going to be cutting it here for Grass. Two Machine Workshops, probably not either. He could get the attachment here. That could help him get those out. He's now going up to the Heroic Age through Raijin as well. So now in comes the Najar. But he is only really useful to take out those Infernal One Yudo, especially versus these Super Samurai. The other issue here is that, well, this forest protection isn't on the town center, so if Kiber wants to, it wouldn't be hard for him. He can just kill off that 450 HP house. The question is, does Kiber even know that? And I think he does, but I don't know if he's fully recognized that's the thing. But this is giving some options for Kiber up to the top here. Grass is grabbing this top gold mine as the units are going to move through onto the backside. The White Horse Cav still just trying to distract as we're up to 3 town centers for Kiber and 1 town center for Grass. Heroic Age is in now for Kiber. He is simply put in a dominating position, and I don't know how any amount of skill, micro, or tomfoolery from Grass is going to be able to pull him back from this game. Ballet going to be attempting to go up. There's still 4-1 Yudo here, causing issues as the Hero Samurai to take out the villagers, and Grass there will say GG, tap out. And Kiber, just like last week, well, he's on the board. He's got his 1 win. He's looking strong. That's the first time Grass has picked the Chinese in this tournament thus far. And I got to be honest, it kind of shows. The lack of fire archers, overcommittal into halberdiers. You got to get those fire archers out to deal with the samurai army. Kiber played it really well, reacted to all of the halberdier, kept going in onto samurai instead of doing more of a mixed comp, which might not have worked as well. But nonetheless, well played here by Kiber, as we will jump back to the draft and see what the next game is going to bring us. All right, our next map is on Mirage. We do have an interesting one here. This is a matchup that I don't think I would want to play from either side. There's lots and lots of issues in this matchup for both sides here. So we'll see how it goes. But we did see Grass playing specifically Isis versus Kiber's Prayer last week, and he did end up losing that one. Guys, I am incredibly parched. For whatever reason, I got no water in my water bottle. So I will be right back. We're going to get started in a little under a minute. So don't you guys go nowhere. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, off to game number 3. On the left side, Grass playing as Isis. Right side, we've got Kiber playing as Odin. Alright, so Mirage is the map. I don't think I've seen Odin one time on this map thus far. I wonder why that is. A lot of players have been saying Odin's really, really good on water and having a lot of success, honestly, with the Norse on water in general throughout this tournament. Like, whether it's been, like, just a decent amount, like, playable state of success, so to speak. We'll see what Kiber's going to come up with, but the problem that I have in playing specifically Odin into Isis is that Odin doesn't have access to Bragi, which I do think is one of the most important tools that Norse has versus Egyptian, specifically Isis. Against Set, against Ra, it's less of a thing, but I mean, to some degree, Set is this is a problem as well to some degree with Set. But basically, you really want to have the most powerful herdman you can possibly have, because if anyone's done any digging in onto the numbers, you'll notice that the herdman is actually quite weak. Statted. It doesn't have great stats. But once you grab, what's it called? Swineray, the Bragi tech, it becomes one of the best counter cavalry units one of the best counter cavalry units in Asian mythology. So there is that. And I guess why I bring that up is because ISIS, known for wanting to go into things like fast thoths for elephants, camel riders, even chariot archers, the herdman can be quite good with, especially if you've also got access to Forseti or Ulla for having the extra speed on all of your units. But nonetheless, let's take a look at the relics. They're all sort of splattered down onto the bottom. We've got Ring of the Nibelung, Nibelung. Blanket of Empress Zoe over here. Zoe? I wonder who Empress... Maybe it is Empress Zoe. Has it been Empress Zoe the entire time? Hang on. Have I been... Did I just work... Is it Empress Zoe? I think it's literally Empress Zoe, and I've been saying it wrong the entire time. Text of Imhotep. Not that I've been saying anything else wrong the entire time. Just that one, and that one alone. Up onto the side, we have Rhea's crown. Okay. I'm never going to be able to change that one. That's been happening for way too long. Thought it was Zoe. You thought Zoe was how Australians say Zoe because of you. I'm not sorry. Hang on. Who was Empress Zoe? A Byzantine empress who ruled Constantinople from 1028 until her death. Apparently. Well, there you go. The more you know, the stronger you are, and all the other good stuff. Well, Grass for this time being, he's going Anubis, and we will be seeing Freya in from Kiber, so no Heimdall action, unfortunately. I know you were all wanting to see the Heimdall action, but we saw the blanket of our old pal Zoe just chilling here, and that means we don't need no Heimdall. But full walls coming up all onto this backside immediately. Meanwhile, second town center on the way for Grass, as the Valkyrie here will not be able to do much, but does spot what's happening. And I think Kiber is very much going to be saying, great, let's play a boom. 2TC versus 2TC here for the Norse has always actually been one of the more happy ways to play Norse versus Egyptian. I really don't like playing like straight 2TC versus Norse. I always feel like it's very, very tough on the side of the Egyptian. But in this situation, there is a nice gold mine here. There's also some back giraffe. So, and also some lions here that can be eaten up. So Grass has probably got plenty of resources. Siri's going to have a good time. Lots of houses now coming up as we've got the armory on the way for Grass as well for a fast heroic. And there is already a great hall, 2 great halls. Second one coming up for Kiber, as he is going to be looking for some early game pressure all across the map. Potential for forest fires down onto this side? No, there are none, as the monument is too strong. Protects all of this. Unless... No, there's definitely no way to get that forest fire off. All right, we got the Nephthys on the way for Grass, on the way for Grass, and he's going to be trekking down to the bottom position there, and we'll see exactly what his plan is going to be in regards to what unit comp he's going to go for, as the Anubite checks things out on the top, but I think that Anubite may simply just be dead here. Surely it doesn't get out of here. As up. And he gets smacked. Nice try from Grass. Now the barracks are all coming up into this left side, onto this bottom side. Raiding Cavalry just going to move around and clean up all of the obelisks. And a third town center from Kiber. That sounds crazy. I mean, the idea here has to be full wall, but you're going to get hit with a Thoth, surely. This does seem very, 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 very risky. Meanwhile, over onto this side, a little bit of a raid from Kiber as he comes in, and that Scorpion Man will be there to greet them. I think 2 Valkyries beat a Scorpion Man. I'm not sure. But anyways, I think the idea here with going for Freya is specifically inside of Kiber needs an answer versus Chariot Archers, of which you don't really have without Freya or Forseti. If you have Forseti, you have access to the Huskar, which can be pretty good. And if you have, what did I say? Forseti, or if you have Frey, you have access to the super fast raiding cavalry. As the priest will take out 1 Valkyrie there. Bit of a ham move here from Kiber. Very, very risky to make this specific attack happen, but we'll see. There's another interesting idea here that I haven't seen from anyone, but I definitely think it's going to be quite strong. And that's to go into Vikings. Vikings and raiding cavalry. On paper, sounds absolutely insane. 1.5 divine damage, gold income. Nonetheless, walls up onto this side. Axemen coming through. The stone gates are up. 3 town centers from Kiber are putting him in front on the economy ever so slightly. But for the moment, it is just a delay of game, so to speak. So how do you break through this stone gate without siege? And Kiber says, you know what? You can have it. Break through it. I'll just put some walls behind here. But there's a gap over here, and now the Camel Riders are in, and they're causing some problems. Herdmen are on the way from this one longhouse. Kiber's now advancing, but those raiding cavalry here, well, they are all going to be falling as Kiber kind of found himself in a little bit of pressure, a little bit of trouble here in this game after a very, very nice opening. Losing all these villages isn't the end of the world, as he does have the town center advantage. Berserks will be falling on this side as well. There is no Hamaskin just yet. I have to imagine that the plan for Kiber is to go into the Ring Giver Jarls here, however, as villagers getting picked off over onto this side. Big attack over onto the stone gate here as well, though the herdmen can be an issue if they want. We do have an Ancestors getting dropped up onto this side as an attempt to take these fights would be very, very difficult, but he just wants to keep these raids going. Behind this, I wouldn't be surprised to see Kiber facing a Mythic Age, as that's what makes the most sense for Grass, but he doesn't want to slow down in the slightest. I'd love to see Grass then, if he's not going to go Mythic Age, just wander forward, slap a Migdol here, potentially also throw walls up himself on this side, all over the map, just to prevent Kiber from doing anything. As in comes the walking... Whoa. Was that all of them? He got 2 Walking Woods from Walking Woods. Oh no. We do have all the upgrades coming through. Jotans, Ring Giver, Heavy Cavalry. It's a big spend when he really needs units here. Market gets broken down and in onto this position. Kiber, he's looking like he's actually going to be taking quite a big and good fight here. When you take a look at this Jotan, it does not die. This guy is barely taking any damage, but everything else is the big question. Can these herdmen do the damage, do the deed, make it all work? Throw an Axeman on the back then. They are targeting down the Axeman as more herdmen coming in, and the Camel Riders are just melting on this fight. As down goes the siege towers, and the push seemingly has been thwarted. As where are the remaining units for Grass? I don't know. It's like it's equal on military diff, but the population diff is so much in favor of Grass here. I think it's just all in villager diff. In comes the Mountain Giant. That might be an answer to this Migdol stronghold going up. We see the Forest Fire getting dropped down on the back here. Trying to get some damage onto the Migdol. Why not take the Mountain Giant and just right-click on the Migdol? I'm like fairly sure he would kill it in just 1 or 2 shots, but he took so long to get over here. I don't think it's going to be enough. The Migdol stronghold goes up. Kiber's done a lot of very, very good damage here. Are there any heroes remaining? I think the answer is no. And Kiber is pushing Grass back. Grass continuing on the Axeman Camelry or Camel Rider Chariot Archer approach. More Jotans to come through. There's 83 favor in the bank. And Grass is going to need something to deal with those. He does have priests. He does have his upgrade for the priest, so they are doing 6x versus myth units for the time being. This Kiber attempting to move forward, get some more damage done, not able to do so. He's only a little bit behind on villagers. Also have to remember every minute that passes, this villager differential is getting erased because Grass hasn't grabbed himself the 3rd town center. And the longer this goes on, nice raid up onto the top for Grass. But the longer this goes on, you have to say this is going to be looking like it favors the Odin. But it's all up to Grass as to do whatever he needs to cause issues here. As we see a lot more herdmen coming in. There are 8 longhouses now, 7 great halls. Kiber's infrastructure, building placement, and just like ability to keep going in this game, incredible thus far. Into this position, however, the Jotans are incredibly terrifying versus this army. You've got to be scared of them. They tank for so much. Up onto the top side, though, the Camel Riders, they do almost break through the stone gate, but not just yet as the villagers move forward onto the other elephants there. And Kiber, he's going to pull back. Quick armory check. Grass does have a slight armory lead here as a hill fort onto the front. That's not going to go up anytime soon as these throwing axemans, they all need to micro way better than simply just auto-attacking. Because the herdmen on the front aren't that good here. Priests coming in to try and take out the Jotans as the Jarls charge in onto that backline. 1 Jotan falls after all that damage. Serpents on the back for a second recast. Do cause enough issues, and Kiber now, he's got to pull back. Unfortunately, not the best control from Kiber there. The hardest part about this fight is getting those throwing axemen to hit units not named Camel Rider. Now, of course, what you want as the grass army is you want chariot archers killing throwing axemen and You want the camel riders on the Jarls, and you want the axemen there, killing off any herdmen. There's more Jotuns to slowly come through. Priests, hard to take them out for the moment, but part of the beauty of the Jotun is it just stays alive for so absurdly long. Does Kiber have enough stuff here? Looks like Grass seems to think so, as the Migdol stronghold going up again, but the Jotuns say, no, not this time. One big smack and two big smacks, and that is denied. As the fighting will continue here. For the moment, there's actually no herdmen, so the axemen are useless. A great decision from Kiber here to abandon the herdmen while that many axemen are in. Now Grass has got to think, well, I got to get out something to deal with the throwing axemen. I got to get out something to deal with the Jarls. What's going to work for him? More Jotuns, more Jarls. On the other side, we are going to be seeing what looks to be a tech switch into Spearmen. Now, here's my experience against these Jarls. Now, they aren't as strong as they once were, but my experience was that I needed Horus to actually be able to beat those Njord Jarls. Of course, Isis doesn't have Horus, but Isis does have Anubis, which is going to be at least a little bit of help as Kiber chooses violence. That is Balder. Goldmine situation is pretty good. Your opponent's already in to heavy axemen. It's not going to be hard for them to spam out axemen. Is this simply just for Sons of Slipnir? To boost those legendary Jarls, potential legendary Jarls, into the stratosphere? Or is he just going to go for a big Ragnarok? Now, my 2 cents on, you know, my 2 cents on the Ragnarok thing, especially when I'm playing as something like Odin or Forseti, or I have Bragi. Just go tier, get Berserker Gang, and convert like half your villages into Berserks, and that's enough of a Ragnarok. It just is. It's just better. Another hill fort coming up for Kiber on the front here as he's going to come over and take out the monument there in one swing. Jotun kind of gets a little bit lost running straight to his death there. But Kiber gets up another hill fort onto the bottom side. The Rams have taken down the Grass Town Center. Are you kidding me? Kiber is looking so strong at the moment. We've also got Vikings to come through. There's not a single raiding cavalry here. I don't know what the Vikings is about. As in comes Balder. And of course, Grass is looking at that going, I kind of hope you click Ragnarok, but I don't think Kiber needs to. He's got such an advantage. In comes that Sons of Slipnir tech we were talking about as well. This is an extra 1x versus Cav. Right? Or is it just Archer? No, versus Archer. And it's an extra 20 damage, or 20% damage for the Great Jarls, which is an insane amount. Behind this, though, 2 monuments up for Grass. Can he make mummies? Up to the top side, the fortified town center is up, and Kiber is closing in on a massive 2-1 lead. Kiber pulls back ever so slightly. Priest going to be taking out the Fire Giant. We have got ourselves Dwarven Augur also coming in as all the champion upgrades to come through for Grass as he's desperately trying to deal with all of this. We've got the Son of Osiris on the back causing a huge amount of issues here as the Throw and Axemen are cleaning up all of the Spearmen as they move forward. But here's the thing, the most important thing for Kiber is he doesn't have to continue to fight in this choke point. He can sit back, go Ballista, and Ballista are going to be an incredible answer to that Son of Osiris. Though at the moment, the Son of Osiris is having some issues against the hill fort. Down onto the bottom side, we have got an attempt at a catapult to try and deal with this town center over here. Berserk's going to get converted in. Great halls, longhouses, and everything else over onto this side as the Son of Osiris still getting targeted by the hill fort, down to 300 HP as the Thrown Axemen try and dive through. Big issues for Kiber, though, on the economy as he's run out of gold. Does he not have a... Oh, no. He does have a trade route. No, he doesn't. The trade route for Kiber is non-existent. On the flip side, the gold situation for Grass is about to expire. Ragnarok is in, ladies and gentlemen. Grass needs to run. A couple of actual losses here for Kiber would do a world of good so he can actually continue making himself his trade caravans. At the moment, they're all just sitting at full population. As in comes the Kiber units. 40. Wait, that's not right. There is 100. There are 100 of these bad boys ish. It's Kiber still not pushing. There is no gold income for Grass. There's no gold income for Kiber. So effectively, one dead army here, and the game is done. Siege works, going down on the front. In comes the scary Ragnarok. The town center goes down, so even longer to get into his all-important trade route as the Rag Heroes crashing in here. A great choke point for Grass underneath 2 Migdol strongholds and a Son of Osiris at the back, but the army is melting. Iron coming in just that little bit too late for Grass as the other Migdol falls. Axemen are getting through. They're cheap. They're incredibly strong. We will have a much needed Walking Woods here. 100 favor that he can't spend. Into the main base, going after that fortified town center. A beautiful barracks here as well. Another choke point to come in as the Heroes of Ragnarok will try and take that out. Too little, too late. The Migdol stronghold falls. Grass is getting his eco back online, and Kiber, well, he's still got this army going for him. He's still got the hill fort over here. He needs at least a ram to break through some of this stuff, and he's got to cut the head off the serpent here, which is right here on the camel caravan. It's 100 villages to 12. That's an insane differential. Of course, the fishing ships were in, so there was at least a little bit of income while the rag was happening. As yet again, Grass playing a very good defense for the time being, but the town center, that there looks like it might be falling. There are still 14 throwing axemen, which will take out those axemen pretty nicely. Son of Osiris still's got 200 HP. The control from Grass here to bring this one back has been impeccable. But now, in comes the army. The Axemen versus Heroes of Ragnarok here is brutal. Can he get through this wave of Axemen is the question. The answer is yes, But is it going to be enough? On the backside, Son of Osiris here with 100 HP. The Heroes of Ragnarok coming in. Villagers do get in front of that one. Great control from Grass. 5k military resources. Villagers taking out the Ballaster on the back. Son of Osiris down to 50 HP, 30 HP, and it gets back there, but the villagers were picked off. The control from Grass trying to pull back to the Migdol stronghold. Can he get there? I think the answer simply might be yes. The desperation, a little bit way too late, says Rumner in for Kiber at the moment. Both players have got nothing here. The Son of Osiris with 5 HP and it kills off 4 Heroes of Ragnarok with that Migdol stronghold. The defense from Grass, impeccable. Are you kidding me? Iron Shield's now coming through, but in running here, Kiber admits effectively to defeat in this game. How many trade caravans does he have? He has 26. That's a good amount. How many villages does he have? 32. This is not enough. Town center coming back up for Grass. The question is, can Grass make enough of a push happen here? He's got to get his town center back here. He's got to get his town center back here. There is a little bit more time for Kiber in this game. Actually, you know what? If he has 30 trade caravans, 40 villages, that's kind of enough, but he needs an army. The Hero 5, look at the damage this Son of Osiris done. Now, Kiber kind of needs to stop the spammage of caravans so that he can actually build units. And he does kind of stop it, but he still wants more. On a map like Mirage, your gold rate is pretty average. You do need more than you would normally need as Norse. Norse can kind of get away with somewhere between 30 and 40 ox caravans. Fire Giants. Scary. Of course, that Son of Osiris has only got 5 HP, so you can very easily take that one out as the mummies can get a little bit of that vomit off, creating a couple of minions here. And there goes the Son of Osiris. Tango down. And how close are we in this game right now? Grass with an iron advantage. Without question, he has an advantage here. He's got 3 town centers. But I don't think he can just sit back and wait. Huge damage onto the villagers there from those fire giants. And well, this is always an issue for the Egyptians, is trying to deal with the fire giant. What can Grass do? I mean, he's going to get himself out priests, obviously, but he doesn't have Pensukos. The mummies aren't going to be that useful versus the fire giant. He has to build priests. Luckily, he has Nephthys, but potentially Pharaoh. Double Pharaoh for Grass on the front. That's probably the way to go. 2 Pharaohs to help take out the fire giants, then pull one back to the market. That seems like a decent idea. In onto this position. In comes the damage. The Jarls are gigantic, though. As the Axemen fall in onto the backside, those mummies, well, they are looking incredibly healthy there as the Jarls are just preventing everything from happening. Great control from Kiber on this fight. A huge amount of Huskal plus Jarl here as Grass is trying to get away from this situation. Town center pops out with the priest and the pharaoh to at least try and get some fire giant kills here. But he loses the town center. He gets 2 fire giants up onto this position. The chariot archer camel riders, they're going to be dying. And champion archers to come through. As the town center is now back under Kiber's control. What an execution here from Kiber to get his economy back online, to do enough damage, to lose everything, and then bring it all back again. Iron weapons now coming through, and the game is looking more and more in Kiber's favor the longer this goes on. The walls are getting spammed up all on the front. Town center comes through for Kiber here. And I think, well, Grass is out of hope in this game. He's going to try and get some more champion spearmen in. But the problem is still just these fire giants are going to be a menace to deal with. If you need spearmen to kill off Jarls and your opponent's got fire giants, they will simply just melt to the special. They don't have that much HP. All the priests on the back attempting to come through for Grass. He's still got plenty of resources with his trade route, but he doesn't have any population remaining. And now walls plus ballast of fire giants, some vintage Norse late game shenanigans here. But Grass is mustering up a little bit of an army. You can see he's at full pop with only 2.6k military resource value because these priests, they're just taking up so much of his population to deal with so little of Kiber's population. In fact, simply just pulling the fire giants back to force more priests out seems like as good of an idea as any. And of course, the 35-minute Berserker gang to come through for the champion Berserks to help out. And over onto this side, this is the end for every Egyptian player. The sight of the donkey caravan, camel caravan, face against the wall. Could try and build a market over here and go over onto this, I guess, but there is no breaking through this anymore. There is no getting gold in anymore. He's still got 600 gold in the bank. He's going to break through the wall at the very least. One idea here could be to attempt to throw up the old perpendicular wall in. But Grass calls it there as Kiber is annihilating the main base. He's destroying the top of the map. And what a game 3 here, ladies and gentlemen. This is scary stuff for one Grass and Groom. I don't have a nickname for him. Grass and Groom the Young. He is without question a favorite to make it to the semifinals, to the finals, and to get this final ticket to Athens. Kiber, he has no business beating Grass in this series. And he is one win away from doing it. This is the last chance playoffs. You don't get another chance after this. The amount of pressure on Grass right now is unfathomable. Let's jump back to the draft and see what Grass is going to pick, because there is one very, very nice thing for grass going forward in this series. Let's talk about it at the draft. Alrighty. Our fourth game matchup. On Blue Lagoon is Set versus Zeus. The one saving grace here for grass, the one thing that grass can look at and go, okay, is that Kiber has no Norse remaining. He won with Odin, he won with the Matarasu, and he made grass's life incredibly difficult with his Thor. This is going to be the first time I think we've seen Kiber's Zeus. Zeus versus Set is not an easy matchup. Very winnable. There's a lot of ways things can go wrong for both sides of the coin in this matchup. But the big thing to remember is that if Kiber knows what he's doing, I expect to see Centaur, Manticore, Temple of Healing, Lightning Storm, Hephaestus Revenge, and a very, very difficult game for grass in this next one. Hydra could be an option in the heroic age, actually. You don't have to go, if you go Hermes, you don't have to go Apollo because you have that wood-based ranged unit that's doing AoE damage. You just need one because that's going to make the life of a spearman, axeman wielding Set player much more difficult. But mixing in a couple of Hydras there along the way with that AoE damage is not a terrible idea, as well as making you have or giving you access to Thracian horses, Spirited Charge Cavalry, which is also really, really good. Keeps off the potential for Migdol units from coming through as well. Well, grass is back. I think for the first time in a long time, is up against the wall. Against the player who, as like I said, I don't want to take anything away from Kiber. He's playing an incredible series. But I don't think anyone was expecting this. Let's jump into game 4 and see what's going to happen. In onto the map, Blue Lagoon we go. And here we are. Bottom side of the map, Set from grass. Top side of the map, Zeus from Kiber. And a spicy game with, like I said, a lot of ways this can go wrong. Egyptian has not been grass's friend versus Kiber in this series thus far. And in fact, versus Kiber at all. He lost with Isis versus Freya on Mirage last week. He lost with Isis versus Odin. But now he's not up against the Norse. He's up against the Zeus. And I'm going to say it again. I've got no idea what the Kiber Zeus looks like. But we've got ourselves what I would call a pretty aggressive map here. Town center over here does have a gold mine behind it. Does have some Rhino and some Gazelle there, as we do see the bolt there onto the Priest. Stock standard opening. You always want to prevent that. There was one line of Sep grabbed from grass, so we will get some nice scouting in. On the left side, this town center has got a pretty exposed gold mine with no food on it. And the same is going to be true for grass over here. This town center looking pretty good, actually, with the way the cliffs have formed. And the forests as well. So there could be a little bit of an easier defense on this specific town center if grass wants to go for it. That being said, I expect Kiber to do everything in his power to be denying town centers. Let's check out the relics and see if there's going to be anything important. Tail Feathers of Heaven, which is infantry 0.3 divine damage over 3 seconds. Always nice, especially for hoplites and things like that. Feather of Jingwei, making you or giving you a little bit of wood trickle. Jade, oh my. Kiber didn't see it. That's lucky. But grass doesn't have a priest out. Remember that. Kiber still has a chance to find this relic. He's going Hermes. An extra 5% movement speed on the centaur with also Spirited Charge puts it into, well, makes it very, very quick. Let's just say that much. Into the middle of the map. Oh, sorry, I already said that one. Over onto this side, there is the blanket of Empress Zoe. I said it right. See? We'll see Kiber grabbing the Tail Feathers of Heaven, which is obviously very, very nice. But it's looking like he wants to donate that over to grass as he walks straight forward. This grass is going to get himself out a priest. We do have the vision getting dropped down into the main base there as the Jason comes in, slaps the villagers here a little bit. Not going to be able to do a whole lot there as a second monument will be in. Of course, the priest can just come over here and like I said, he's going to donate that relic in. In comes the centaur. Can he get the villager? No. Now he's got to be careful because, well, priests are going to be getting that range in. And back he goes. Does he still not see the relic? Nope. I feel like that might go undiscovered for quite some time. Behind this, stables up for Kiber. Another centaur in. And a barracks up for grass. So some very, very difficult times ahead in this game as grass is going for the town center. Can he get this up is the question. Over onto the right side, Kiber, well, his Tasker boss is going to go. No, it gets out of there. The units are going to start making their way over into the main base. The Anubite does get the Anubite gets the Anubite was getting chased. That's a Vil pick there for that Anubite. In onto this position comes the units. I don't think there's going to be any stopping this town center here as he's going to try and get those centaur around, but he just can't stop the town center. And grass gets everything that he wants here. Some very, very poor control from Kiber, unfortunately. And that there is a huge win for grass that he needs to claim somewhat immediately. And what do I mean by this? He needs to get the wall set up very quick. A cheeky little wall onto this side there. Maybe a wall down onto this side here or back to this way. And then look to lock off this bottom side wall so he can be on this gold mine. Kiber, on the other hand, can do pretty much nothing but death ball here. What do I mean by that? Well, it's basically you got to go for as much raiding pressure as you can into a huge bronze push with a lot of myth unit and a lot of cav and a lot of hoplites. He's in onto this side. He will spot the villagers here. Gets one pick. Villagers turn. Nice shank there. Granary up. More Hippias are going to be making their way around as the Centaurs sneak around onto the bottom side. Of course, hitting those berries again would not go astray, as that's a lot of Nubites from grass, though. The Nubites can be really effective versus the Centaur. They can also die very, very quickly versus the Jason and the Heracles. Spearman charging around the side here, looking for more pressure into the main base of Kiber. As I'm really liking the grass position the further we get into this one. And the Spearman goes. Shankety shanks, and the Spearman is out of there. And the villagers need to pull back as we will see the Centaur getting dragged in here to say, get out of here, silly Spearman. That is a lot of Centaur on the way. Spirited Charge. Wait, did he spot the relic? He's got the relic! Over onto this right side, though, the villagers, they're getting caught out. You can't click ceasefire here either. The Jason will be... Oh, he clicks ceasefire. There's just no reason to even be here. Just sit in your main base, eat the berries, eat the chicken, eat the goats. What if he's going to raid you, then we'll run around with a Nubite. You put pressure on. More Spearmen on the way. More Hippias on the way. Mixing in some hoplites here wouldn't go astray either, and that is what's probably going to happen for Kiber. He's got a military academy down. As in come the Centaur. And these Centaur are a unit you want to have simply just on the back line. You don't run them in by themselves. They're there more for the fight than anything else. Meanwhile, big raid coming in on the left side from Grass as he is getting more and more value in this game. Centaur do attempt to get over onto this side. Not able to quite get in there just yet. We will have Sylvan Law coming in. Dionysus is pre-queued, but also I imagine Nephthys is going to be on the way shortly here for Grass as well. As the Spearman, a Nubite raid, does manage to get in onto this side. Over onto this side, Kiber is focusing on his own raid here, and he is not paying attention in his main base, or at least not for long enough. Lots of villagers falling, but now in comes the Centaur as they will rain those arrows down and at least get some revenge fire onto the army of Grass. As up onto this position, the Hippias charging up to the top. The army from Grass defending beautifully. And Kiber going to be getting around onto this side. Picks off one villager, going after more. And Grass going to attempt to get out of here, but it's a dangerous position to be in, as the rest of these units are going to be retreating in.
Πρόσεχε. Έτοιμος.
No, 6.3 speed with Jade Hair. Pretty bloody fast. Spearman getting caught out over onto this spot. The armory is going to be on the way. It's just such a big villager differential at the moment. That's the tough part. They have these through, immediately grabbing Spirit of Mart for those priests, and Kiber comes in with his red units. We'll be able to get a little bit of damage done as Plague of Serpents does get dropped down. And what's the first usage? The units are back in onto this position again to hit this wood line. This time Kiber is paying attention, and this time he also sends his Centaur back to try and deal with this, though the villagers on the gold mine, well, they get left for dead, or at least one of them does. Yes, there goes the Ancestors, and this is partly why you can't click ceasefire here. But the heroes are in, and the Centaur will be able to deal with it. So kind of a wasted ceasefire. What is this? The village is in the center of the map. Like, that is absolutely wild. And I'm pretty sure Grass, yep, he sees it without question. He sees it in the middle there. And I think that game number 4 is going to Grass, as he will get some equality here, ladies and gentlemen. I don't see it. I unfortunately don't see it for Kiber. He has not done the damage that he needed to do. In fact, he took way too much damage from the raids from Grass, and while his Centaur numbers are still looking okay, one too many mistakes, and the set gets across the line. Ladies and gentlemen, we got one more game. 2-2. Grass in Kiber. Grass sweating. Let's jump back over to the draft and see what they're going to pick for game 5. Our last map, Mount Olympus. The god picks available: Nuwa, Shenong, Rare, Kronos. I got to be completely honest. My pick here would be Shenong on the side of Kiber. Good versus Kronos, good versus Frere. My pick from Grass, I don't really mind. I play either. Roll a dice, whichever one you're more comfortable with. Both fine. Can the Zeus simply go 2 TC in that matchup? Yeah, look. I think that what Kiber did was fine. He just probably shouldn't have opened with extra Centaur and should have gone into Hippias right away. There's not really any need to build a second Centaur versus that. Just go straight into double stable Hippias. And then if it ends up going the way of spamming out Centaur, which can be necessary, then you put on your 6 villagers on favor or whatever and you start spamming them out. Anyways, it's time for game 5. It's time for Mount Olympus. And it is time for one last chance. Well, sorry, not one last chance. This is the last chance for one of these two players to make it to Athens. Let's jump into Mount Olympus. And off to the races. In the left-hand corner of the map, Grass playing as Frere. In the right-hand corner of the map, Kiber playing as Nuwa. One last game. Not an easy one here. We are on the map, Mount Olympus. This is a really, really fun map. Arguably one of the best maps in the pool. But all the players don't like fun, so they haven't been picking it. Every time I see a game on this map, I'm like, yes, this is what Age Mythology needs more of. I'll go over on this side. Just got Zeus statue just hanging out here. Just chilling, just for us, the audience. Check out some more relics, and then we'll talk about what's going to happen here. Hacade's Torch. Looking nice over there for the God Powers becoming a little bit more cheaper, though there's not really many God Powers you want to cast twice of as Noir. Jui Quattle. Myth units doing bonus damage versus myth units, going up a little bit. And finally, Gungnir Odin's Spear. 5% of base there, going up for the Herdman. And in this one, also the Halberdier. Now Kiber has got himself his Kwafu out. He is doing what I've seen him do before. The first time I watched him do this, I was like, what? You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to put the Kwafu hero onto food. Of course, it does gather food somewhat quickly. I think it gathers food like at about the rate of 2 villages-ish. Maybe a little bit more than 2 villages. But, yeah, it trains a little slower than 2 villages. So, there is that. So, okay. How to coming in, I have to imagine that Ulla is going to be the god of choice for grass. Now, I've said this once. I'll say it 100 times. I suffered in this matchup, not knowing this. I lost games, not knowing this factoid. Make sure you put your hill fort down right away. Don't always going Freya. Okay. He's going Freya. That is very, 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 very different. Kiber, on the other hand, how to, not surprised. One cool thing, I guess, about going Freya is you can get access to Ses Rumnir, gives yourself the Goaty so that you can deal with the Cheongchi. Meanwhile, up to the top side of the map, the Kwafu hero coming up to the town center. And the Berserk, well, he is going to be very much aware of what's going on here. As the town center starts, the clay peasants come in. The ball of damage coming through and up. He's out of here, but he does spot the town center. So it's going to be 2 TCs. And on the backside here, Grass, he has to make somewhat of a decision. Does he go crazy aggressive? Does he go for his own town center? He's putting a longhouse up to the top, which makes me feel like he wants this town center. But here's the thing. If Kiber is really clever here, he'll drop a machine workshop immediately. And he'll start making fire archers and just walk at this town center. And I don't believe you can get this up. And that's part of the reason you need to go... That's part of the reason you need to go for the hill fort right away. As in comes the earth wall. Such a risky earth wall here, but where would you forest fire? Here, I guess. It would probably kill off a couple of the segments. Nonetheless, town center on the way for grass. The Kwafu hero not on the right resources to deny this town center. And the Cheongchi also not getting the scout on what's going on. So he doesn't get to decide what to do here. Grass town center slowly coming up onto the top. 30 seconds there. And he will have it. He will be in a good spot. Behind this, is it just a fast heroic from Kiber? I gotta say, I don't like the fast heroic in this matchup. You give so much time over to Freyr, And that's all Fran needs. Time is it. That's all you need. He's going to drop a military camp now. So walls coming down onto the bottom side. Of course, against Norse, you've got a wall if you're going to be playing the 2 town center game. You've got to get the entirety of the map walled, because that's what's going to happen to you very, very quickly. Also another reason why you don't necessarily want to go for the fast heroic. Who wants to go deeper into the late game? Probably Frere, but I'm not sure. As in comes medium infantry. Berserk's also coming through. Great Hall on the way. Over to the side of the earth wall. Just gets repaired back up as a machine workshop. Now getting dropped. And this Kwafu hero just says, no, you may not enter. You're not allowed in here. Onto the bottom side, though, walls will be coming in. We do have ro16 as the god of choice from Kiber, so he wants to go for Dao swordsmen, halberdiers, potentially also fire archers and javelineers, and stay away from the cavalry, at least for a little bit. Kiber is just absolutely spamming these Kwafu out. He has so many of them. His economy is going to be absolutely gigantic. As into the main base is coming the scariness of the Norse infantry shenanigans there. Bottom side wall is up. This is going to get walled off. This is going to get walled off. And Kiber is going to get strangled in this game. One villager goes down. Fire archers here. Well, 2 fire archers. They do not beat that amount of units here. Kiber will get a couple of kills, or 1 trade back. Picks off a berserk or 2 for the final fire archer. And behind this, Valkyrie raiding cavalry coming through. The villagers decide they want to come out into the risky land of outside the earth wall. Dangerous. It's up to the top here. The Dao swordsman trying to get in to get a little bit of damage done. Forest fire will get dropped down. That actually might open up this wall as well, because the trees will all catch on fire moving in onto this. And that's only 182 HP there. As halberdiers are going to be on the way, but I think here that Grass, with just continuing his walling, you can get heroic age in. And this is also one of those, it's one of those fun times. Whenever you go Freya and you have access to Bragi, I'm just like, I just want to see it, because it just sounds so fun. You go Thundering Hooves, you go through Azaz Rune, and you get yourself like a 7.2 speed Valkyrie. Or is it a 6.9 speed Valkyrie? I don't know. It's incredibly fast. Very, very, very tough to deal with the raids. And after the forest fire is done, the walls are still alive. Kiber's still looking for his pressure to assert, potentially force out a Gullen Bursty here. Is onto the bottom side of the map. The walls are coming up, which means there's not really a defense here for Grass. Walls also coming up from Kiber behind this. And I think he does have the opportunity to just walk in and just attack the town center. Sends a couple of Dao swordsmen forward. The rest are just chilling back here. I'm not sure exactly what Kiber's doing. Main base, though, that's under attack. There's nothing in here to play defense, as the villagers will bail outside of the main base up to the top. And in onto this position he goes. But Aegir, no. Killing off the wall seems like a better option than killing off the town center. Fair enough. And behind this, Grass with plenty of resources in the bank here. He is going to go into his Jarls, throw an Axeman, forward hill fort here, which of course is not spotted by Kiber. Behind all of this, it's got to be eco upgrades, right? He's not getting the eco upgrades, but he's going to be going into his granite more. Grabbing that as fast as possible can be really good, but there's also this other tech you want to grab super fast in Beasts of Renown there as well. Kiber finishes his armory, and he is up through Rushall now, but very, very late. And we are now moving into the wild world of Hillfort Gaming. It's the Fire Archers to come forward. There goes the Gullenbursty. There goes the Tempest. This is not the best of Gullenbursty Tempests that I've ever seen, especially with a wall on the back going up. This Kwafu over here playing defense. Units up onto the top side, trying to pick off just a little bit of stuff before potentially pulling back behind the wall. But that's going to get taken down, and Grass, well, after all is said and done with the God Power usage, he is now pushing, and he's going to be in a pretty good spot. But Gullenbursty is going to get finished up with. He's Imperial Academy on the front for potentially Sages, Jangxia, etc. More units are going to be coming through. Economically, it is a slight advantage here for Kiber. Another hill fort coming up for Grass. How many does he have now? He's up to 3. He did get a whole bunch of favor as well, so his Bergreezy or Rock Giants can get spammed out. In comes the upgrades as well as stone walls. As this hill fort's going to get targeted down, but in come the Valkyrie and the Jarls there. This is somewhat scary. You can get some siege in and slowly start to siege down, but I guess once you start doing that, that's when problems arise. As the Kwafu, well, they're going to move up here. Is this for fighting? Does he have the upgrade? He's got the upgrade. These Kwafu are made for fighting. The absolute insanity of Nuwa at the moment is that the Kwafu are an insane unit on the actual attack. Can I select these? He's got 15 of them. A couple of them are still gathering resources, but continuing the attack. There goes the Fey Beasts on the back line, and here comes some insane revenge damage as the Fey Beasts, well, they all die there, but a huge amount of damage from them. And the army of Grass does get sent packing. But behind this, he gets damage done, but he wasn't getting any resources. Not at all. Middle of the map. Hillfort going down, back town center slowly going up there with one Berserk. Love to see that from Grass. This one gold mine is kind of the last gold mine for Kiber at the moment. As Grass's map control has been on point. That being said, simple option here for Kiber is to just push through this. Just continue to push forward. He can take this gold mine next. And then I guess he can rotate from one side to the other side and through the middle of the map. But we will see how things go here for Kiber as he is slowly taking down infrastructure. Another hill fort into the center of the map here. Kiber's able to find himself just a little bit more in the way of food here. Waihu raids are also incredibly effective at this stage of the game as well, as Grass is just waiting for himself to get up to full population. I mean, it's a waiting game when you're playing as Norse, right? Not even Norse, or not Norse, but Freyr. Now it's 4 town centers, it looks like, to 2. And Kiber's army is about to get caught out. The front line of Dao Swordsmen, while they do have that beautiful bonus damage versus myth units and divine damage, there's just not that much of it. The fire archers aren't looking very helpful here, and the Jarls just ride through it all. As over onto this side, an attempt to get a ghost building down from Grass here. It's not going to work out for him as the units do manage to pull back. Hero Kwafu ends up falling. Greasy on the way. We've also got that Feast of Renown finally coming through. As the siege weapons do end up getting taken down. Halberdiers now starting to come through. A mix of Halberdier plus Dao Swordsman and any sort of backline disruption makes a lot of sense here. The big problem for Kiber is just his gold mines are expiring. Main base has got 400 in it. This one here, hard to grab because of the walls, as he does look to take another fight. I think the only real way forward here for Kiber is to bring in the boys again. The boys are in. The boys and their rocks of doom. All that crush damage against the Bergreezes is very, very helpful here. Jiangxia on the way, as well as the Pioneers. Spamming out a whole bunch of Dao Swordsmen here is very tough because he doesn't have the gold for it. And Grass here, he is sitting fairly strong at 180 population. As the front line for Kiber slowly melting. I gotta see how much damage these guys have done. Holy damage! You have to remember though, they're not getting any resources for doing this. And I think Kiber, he just doesn't have any gold mines. I don't know how he's supposed to build anything at the moment. Does he have some trade routes started? Yes, but that's also like too little too late. You do have the Sage out. That's going to help out a lot. The Kwafu do manage to keep himself alive for the time being. And Grass has to pull back. He's just not able to get by that Kwafu presence. This gold mine now is out of gold. 200 left in on it. This gold mine over here, 300. This one, 400. Enough to maybe get out one more army. The other issue is that going into mechanical ox caravans is all well and good. But he's also behind on town centers. And fortified town centers is about to come through for Grass. Now in come the Dao Swordsmen, more fire archers. Realistically, Kwafu plus Halberdier might just be all he needs. The Kwafu are going to take out Berserks like no man's business. He just has to take out the Jarls. And it's low on gold, right? Only 35 gold. Main base, though, under attack as the boys get pulled again. Well, they finish up on the gold, but they get pulled again. Rock Giant on Rock Giant action here as that one will go down. Main base still under attack. Villagers all have to go idle onto the top. I'm sure Grass is more than happy to make these trades because he just gets further in front. That being said, I mean, while this is all going on, the caravans are on the way, so that'll be a big help. Behind this, Vidar is pre-queued. That's going to be a mythic age for Kiber coming in momentarily. How much damage if they all collect? They're up to 10,000 damage! Well. If they didn't cost gold, they only cost food, I'd say just build those as your myth unit. Why bother? Nonetheless, mythic ages on the way. Grass here. He's getting portable rams, great Jarls, Dodie. The walls will be getting thrown up onto this side, so the Kwafu have a safe haven to sit behind. Fire archers, though, kind of running to their death over here. Not sure what that's all about. 18 mechanical ox caravans for the moment out for Kiber as he's desperately trying to get himself together some actual gold income. But I gotta say, no gold and a bunch of Kwafu and a dream. That's all this is. The units come in, take out the fire archers, and those Kwafu, well, they've got to run for it. Apparently, or they turn around and keep fighting. I think they might be dead though. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Inferno get dropped onto these guys as well. Just straight over the top. Yeah, there it comes. And we don't get to see the explosion. Why does nobody let us see the explosion? Ah! What can you do? A couple of massive misplays here from Kiber that I thought he should have gone for. So misplay number one was whenever you're playing Far Second Town Center versus Norse and you've got a Chongqi scouting, you got to see if he's going Town Center or not. If you see he's going Town Center, then you want to go directly into Fire Archer. Chongqi plus Fire Archer early on with maybe a Pioneer or two in the army, he can't get the Town Center up. He has to build more units out. So you can delay that so long. Next moment here was he sort of caught grass out going Heroic Age. And he just had to right click on the Town Center. He's probably scared that Gullen Bursty would come through, but if Gullen Bursty came through then he just runs through his wall and he's in a good spot. And I guess the final straw that broke the camel's back was allowing all of this to happen without securing it yourself. On a map like Mount Olympus, you do have to go into units. You can't do like some sort of power greed Heroic Age because the map gets locked up. You build units, you move around, you get the map walled up, and you get yourself your own gold mines and situations sorted out. But very well played series from Kiber. Grass, a bit of a shocker here from him in this one. The tournament pressure is real, but Grass gets through it, and we will see him on the weekend. Our next series, actually, we'll finish up here, and we'll jump back to the main menu, talk about what's happening for the rest of the week. All right, guys. So tomorrow is nothing, I think. We haven't seen any games then. On Thursday, however, we've got ourselves Izamato and Hell's Ravage playing. I believe that's actually moved to 13:30, 1:30 p.m. I think. I believe it has. So yes, it has. So that is Gonna get saved in there. Oops. Yep, that's fine. Watch it just change magically in front of your eyes. Wow. And then Matador Zucolo at 1800 GMT. There's a couple of other games still getting scheduled, but we've also got the... Actually, I think they might all be done now. Hang on, let me have a quick look. Eric Minietti, have they finished their scheduling? They're at Friday 22 GMT, so I'll add that in. And the other one is Matrius Illuminati, which might be tomorrow. Matrius is angling in at 1900 GMT on Wednesday, so we'll see what that's going to be. Anyways, thanks guys for watching. I am unfortunately done for today. I will be back on tomorrow for more Community Games, but it is already late and it is bedtime. Appreciate y'all. I'm going to send you guys over to Motoba, who is doing a few practice games for Athenian League. And I'll see you all later. Bye, guys. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye.